From the Zimmer Radio Network headquarters,
For you to pay a tiny little bit more for your gasoline.
it's your morning addiction.
Tish James has refused to prosecute anti-Semitic hate crimes.
Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell. The Zimmer News Team.
We added Election Integrity to Save America Act with some funding for troops and farmers.
And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
President Trump announced what he is calling economic D-Day against Iran. The president indicated that any country around the world providing a lifeline to the Iranians could face economic consequences of their own. He called on allies to stand with the United States, posting to Truth Social, "No one has given the Islamic Republic of Iran a greater opportunity to make a deal than me. Tragically for them, they have failed to take it. Therefore, today I am announcing the most crushing economic operation ever taken against any country. This will be economic warfare and isolation on an unprecedented scale."
The new war is fought on the economic scale, not on the battlefield, according to President Trump. At least that's the message, while the Iranian blockade continues. And some news out of NBC News, Jennifer, that apparently the Russians are supplying arms and some other things through the sea, the Croatian or the Caspian Sea, some other sea out there. And it's a real problem in that we seem to have it now seems to be Scott Bessent's war, and that seems to be what it is. And
move over, Pete Hegseth.
Meanwhile, the United Arab Emirates, having been shot on, they claim by the Iranians, are cutting off all kinds of financial ties, and it's a weird deal over there. As the president says, we're in control. They are on their knees. It's almost over. They're almost done. Their Navy's been decimated. Their Air Force has been decimated. Meanwhile, once in a while, a missile hits a tanker in the Strait. I don't know. John, we're going to be talking to Colonel Steve Bucci later, and I think we're going to have to ask him about what he knows about this circuitous end around that is being reported, for providing some provisions and probably munitions for the Iranians.
That's nothing new under the sun. The Russians and the Chinese have been the biggest trading partners, and that includes military gear that they've been supplying to the Iranians all along. And I'm sure their take on it is, if we want to supply Ukraine, they can supply Iran.
So, Jennifer, Jennifer's in for Stephanie today, and I have to ask you, as the vice chair of the Republican Party in Missouri, what is the calculus? What are you hearing in terms of and what would you recommend that going into these midterms, which historically are a real threat for the party that is in power, and in this case, it's the Oval Office and both chambers of Congress, what is the strategy when you have some headwinds like this, notwithstanding the fact the one big beautiful bill was a winner, kept the tax rate down. The borders are secure. A lot of the bad guys are being deported. There's so much women playing women's sports. I mean, it's an executive order now, but with all of that positivity, but yet you have these headwinds facing you. What's the political calculus here?
Well, it's difficult. One thing that really propelled Trump to win was shutting down the border. As soon as he became president, he shut that down, and people's memories are pretty short.
Like overnight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of a victim of your own success in that way, because that was a pressing issue, that footage of people just streaming into our country. But you're right with the economic stuff. There are some headwinds. It could be bumpy. We have history against us in terms of midterm elections. But then again, the Democrats don't really have anything they're selling. They don't have anything specific driving or ideas of what they would do differently to make things affordable. Taxing everyone more, regulating everyone more. These things are not designed to create economic prosperity.
No, you're right. But you just said a very important thing I thought about last night. Talk about, thinking in a glass half full kind of a way. The memories do tend to be short. And it's what did you do for or to me?
What have you done for me lately?
Or what did you do to me lately, right?
Yeah.
And so if something were to settle down and maybe not get back down to $2.89 a gallon gas, but, reasonable prices, within even, I mean, what do you think that timeline is? Let's just hypothetically say that it does settle down at some point. What is the latest that it could settle down to where people could have that short memory and start thinking about all the good things and hearing the candidates talk about the good things? Is it a month? Is it 6 weeks? Are we there? Are we past that point?
Well, you have to think like where the battleground states are and how soon they vote, because we don't have voting day anymore in our country. We have voting season.
You're
So,
right.
Yeah.
but for states like Missouri, I mean, we have a relatively short early voting period. So memories are short. So you could get those gas prices down and maybe have little impact.
Right. Well, that's the thing. But you're right. I forgot about that. Some states, they start voting, a whole month in advance or something,
more
don't they?
sometimes.
Oh,
Yeah.
more than that.
Of course, are those states that are going to be blue anyway? I don't know. But well, that would be in a presidential thing. It'd be important.
I'll have to look up Michigan when they start voting. That's a swing state. Texas.
It's a strange deal. And
But California, we have some seats in play out there because
yeah.
we do have Republican congressmen.
I have to remind myself, though, that Donald Trump did say, to his credit, early on in the event, that this is not something that I want to do, basically. This is something that needs to be done. And I think in that perspective, yes, maybe where there's some miscalculations of the Iranians' resolve and their capabilities, possibly, history will say. But still, I mean, we've certainly knocked back and decimated their ability to spread terrorism and sponsor it, and the worst kind of terrorism, a nuclear weapon, at least for a long, long time. And so that shouldn't be lost on us. Now, whether that can be
And that
used,
needs to be part of the conversation
Yes.
more. It seems like they're leaving that part out, which was the important part to begin with, because everything's about where's the Strait of Hormuz, but that whole thing is part of the deal that needs to be made as part of this longer-term deal to make sure they never have a nuclear weapon.
Well, to follow up, you're listening to Wake Up Missouri. I'm Randy Tobler. Jennifer Bukowski in for Stephanie, John Marsh, and Drake Whitman. Now, Drake is bumming today. He walked in. I said, "What's the matter, man? Your dauber's down. What's going on?" He said, "Oh, Cardinals lost." Was it a close? Why was today's loss a big one for you?
We choked it away.
Again?
Yeah. No, again, what are you talking
Didn't
about?
we
We've
do
won
that?
6 out of the last 4. I don't want to hear it from you.
Didn't we do it on didn't we lose something in the bottom of the ninth or something in one of the doubleheaders the other day? And lost in over?
Yeah, we lost in 10 innings.
10 innings.
In the last of the doubleheaders. No, it's just, it sucks whenever you play a team that you're definitely better than and you lose. And it sucks when you do it in a way like the Cardinals do.
And we had
Sal Stewart had that 3-run homer for the Reds, so yeah. Taking it on the chin, old Cardinals on that one.
And then I didn't mean to. I haven't been able to listen to the games, but I didn't mean to, but I really sort of twisted the dagger a little bit. I was just in a friendly way asking Drake, well, how's that Baez guy doing? How's Josh doing?
Not great.
It didn't work out well. That didn't make him smile either.
I warned everyone he's known for the homers, but he's also known for the strikeouts.
Yeah, that goes with the home run kings. How about old Babe Ruth?
Yeah.
And how many times he struck out in his career?
You say that you were putting the salt in the wound. No, I was happy whenever you brought that up. He had his first hit since Saturday, and I think that's good. We're on the right track.
Now, what happens when he? Okay, so he goes around the league. All the pitchers get a look at him. All the teams get a look at him. It's going to get tougher the second time around, right? When they begin to learn him. Yeah.
I mean, yes, and also he hit those 3 home runs. Not to discredit him, because that's insane what he did.
It was.
But he did do it off of the Cubs' worst pitcher.
Oh, well, now you had to go and booger it, didn't you? We were all thinking what a great historic record-setting, but still, I mean, any big league pitcher is still a tough pitcher. Maybe not the toughest, right?
Yeah, and the flip side of that coin is, well, they throw some massive fastballs, and the old line is, big leaguers can hit fastballs.
Yeah.
Oh, I just looked up. So early voting, Virginia has a House race and a couple other House races September 19th. They're the earliest.
September 19th.
Yeah, so that's less than a month away.
Yep.
Then we have Maine, October 5th, and California, October 5th, Ohio, October 5th. Arizona kicks it off October 7th, Georgia, October 13th, Iowa the 14th, North Carolina the 15th, Washington the 16th. So, yeah, election season starts in a month. And then
Fox News guys were talking.
Yeah.
Jen, the Fox News guys were talking the other day, and they were talking about that very angle of some of the questionable states out there opening up their very early voting, and they flipped it to the whole Democratic Socialist thing and said, they started debating the whole Democrat Socialist thing, over moderate Democrats, and their bottom line was, when you get right down to it, vote for a Democrat's a vote for a Democrat.
Yeah.
It's true.
Well, speaking of moderate versus DSA, remember we talked yesterday about the one DSA candidate in Florida who won, Angie Nixon is her name.
Did you see some of the clips of her talking?
It's funny you'd mention that.
Oh, my goodness.
This is a clip of her. She was a Florida state, was it a representative or senator, at any rate?
A representative.
Your representative. And here's just a little bit of wannabe senator, a senator wannabe, Angie Nixon, in a all pink, strikingly pink, fluorescent pink, all like a jumpsuit, and a pink bullhorn on the floor of the house in Florida. It's unbelievable.
I will not allow you to destroy our democracy. That is a violation of the Constitution. It is. It's a violation of the Constitution. I'm out of order because y'all are doing illegal things to the state of Florida. It is out of order. It is out of order.
That is Ashley Moody's opponent in Florida. Wow, what a gift for Ashley
Thank
Moody.
you.
You're on the House floor and you need a bullhorn, and to be screaming like that when you're on the House floor, you have microphones.
And it's so funny. You see her fellow legislators. They're just one woman is just standing there like she's at the communion rail with her hands folded in front of her. The others are just standing there like looking straight ahead. They don't know how to react. She apparently had to be physically removed after that little display.
They must have cut off her mic if she needed that bullhorn.
What does it tell us about the electorate, though? What about the electorate? That there are so many people who will vote for that. Now,
Yeah,
maybe
we have our own problems. Like, we put Todd Eakin up and we had other options, and Claire was able to stay in one more time. I mean, this happens in politics.
Cori Bush.
Yeah, Cori Bush. Exactly.
Man alive. I don't know. Well, we're going to be talking with Colonel Bucci later on at 8:08. We've got other things we want to talk about, including the former NBA player Royce White. He is apparently officially declared for the 2027 WNBA draft.
Oh, go Royce.
And, of course, no show is complete without a little dollop of Sophie Cunningham's goodness. She is taking, I think, the country and the world by storm, actually. So we'll have a lot of fun. But first, let's head over to the Daily DC Rundown in just a few, and John will bring that to you. Stay tuned.
It's Wake Up Missouri
lifeline to the Iranian regime would face their own economic consequences.
It's time for the Daily DC Rundown. Here's John Marsh.
Yep, that warning came as the president announced what he called the most crushing economic operation ever taken against any country, threatening sweeping consequences for nations and businesses that provide Iran with an economic lifelines. Tehran deepening its financial and military ties with both Beijing and Moscow, forging a critical lifeline as they keep trying to circumvent the U.S. sanctions and weather Washington's renewed maximum pressure. Regional security analysts are now warning. Focus in D.C. turning right here to mid-Missouri. A judge hands the president and the Republicans a major redistricting victory, ruling the state's referendum process cannot be used to challenge the congressional maps. Cole County Circuit Judge Dan Green ruled Missouri's constitutional referendum provisions do not apply to congressional redistricting enacted by the General Assembly, siding with Secretary of State Denny Hoskins. But the big story, Sophie Cunningham put on her big girl pants and ventured into Canada for the first time Tuesday night, more specifically Toronto. And for her appearance, she was mercilessly booed every time she touched the ball, presumably because Sophie has said men don't belong in girls' locker rooms. And she promptly responded by canning all of her three-pointers, helping the Fever over Toronto, 101-95. Go, Sophie.
Thank you, John. And Jennifer, this was rich. Here was a little bit of the press conference afterwards. This is so classy.
I want to shout out the Tempo crowd in the city. I think we've had so much fun. It's my first time being in Canada. It's a lot of our first times being in Canada. But the crowd was absolutely amazing. And, I think that's what sports is all about. You're going to get boos, you're going to get cheers. But just the fact that they're so passionate, they're loud, and they're putting on for the city, I think it's amazing. So shout out to you guys for coming out and supporting.
Wow. Wow. Just talk about...
Kill them with kindness.
Oh, my gosh. And just staying above the fray and not getting into the mud wrestling. It was really classy. Crowd was amazing. They're passionate. You're going to get boos. They're a fantastic crowd. That put that to rest. There's been
she's happy to see a crowd in a WNBA game, and you know what? They should be grateful to her because you know what? I bet a lot of that crowd was there out of Sophie Cunningham hate or whatever.
And, even though publicly the owners and the managers and all of the people on the other side may be grumbling, you're right. They like the revenue that the controversy and the crowd brings.
Everyone's talking about the WNBA more than other sports lately.
You're right.
Oh, what the financial boom just for Indianapolis as they talk about people and the going rate of tickets and all that stuff.
Drake is over there
with professional bowlers. We don't know. We don't care. All these other sports, no one cares.
Jennifer's saying everyone's talking about the WNBA and Drake's not me. I'm not talking about it. Oh boy. Oh well, Sophie, you go girl. You're doing a great job. When we come back, speaking of sports, why is Progressive Insurance sponsoring Georgia football? Drake will have the answer to that when we come back on Wake Up Missouri. with us. If you'd like to stay in touch, text lines 573-874-9390. Phone line 800-529-5572. So, Drake, these sponsorships for big college sports are a big deal, right?
Oh, yeah. This is becoming the new normal this year. And it's like, it's weird because NIL's been a thing for a hot minute. And this whole, sponsorship, companies sponsoring teams and conferences, it's really hit hard this year. So
that sounds very like the college football scene is seeming to be more and more just like a mini NFL, right? They all, players get side deals for endorsements, and now you've got the big corporate sponsorships. It's crazy, right?
This is yes, NIL should be a thing, but schools going out and getting money, like getting sponsorships to pay players, even though they're making like billions across the sport for TV rights and all that kind of stuff.
Now, where does that money go? The sponsorship from a big company, does that go into a general pool, or can they designate like we want to sponsor Drake because he's the quarterback of whatever team, or does it just go into a pool that the coach has to use?
It goes I think it goes to the AD, and he spends the money where like it came from. So if like you get $100 million, let's say from I don't know, CBS and whatever.
Some big bank or something. Okay.
You put like, a third of that into NIL, a third of that into facilities, stuff like that.
Well, it can be up to the donors. The NIL donors can be saying, well, I hear you have this recruit. The coach told me about him. Here's some money to get him.
Yeah. There you go. And then they can cut their own deal with him for potato chips or something, right?
Yeah.
So the NIL deal is made with the sponsor or with the university?
It can be both. Like I don't know if the NIL deal, I think you can just give it to the university's pool that they get to manage, but you can also have, it's just like you make a charitable donation and you can say it's for general use,
so it's
or
like
you could be like, this is for football only, or this is for this player even only.
So sort of the difference between a restricted or an unrestricted grant.
Okay. I think so. I think that's how it works.
Okay. All right. So now, what's wrong with Progressive Insurance? I think they now are the largest insurance. I read that the other day. I think they took over some.
Despite their name.
Progressive.
Despite their name, Progressive.
Yeah, right. Well, they are progressive, by the way.
Oxymoron.
Yeah, I think their big boss is pretty progressive, but. So they're sponsoring the Georgia Bulldogs, is that right?
But they're just sponsoring them. It's not NIL, is it? Or is it?
Drake?
I mean, they will have game day patches, so I assume that they'll give some sort of money. It is very ironic that it is Progressive Insurance because, Georgia is known for having players speeding, reckless driving, DUIs, the whole works.
Maybe they're getting discounts on their insurance now.
How rich
Free
is
insurance
that?
for the players.
Yeah, that's the funny angle, because how many times, Drake, did they report on SEC reported on mainly a lot of driving things and pulling a Rishi Rice kind of deal?
Like if your players get speeding tickets, you have to report that to the SEC? Really?
I think it was a little past just your average speeding ticket. It was like reckless and driving and street racing and
they were in a hurry to
domestic
get
violence.
to practice. It's okay. Oh, well, that's not okay.
Now, does Missouri State or does Mizzou have a big corporate sponsor, or is it a patchwork of sponsors? Or do we? I haven't seen any.
There's a bunch of
headline
There's
sponsor.
several big ones, like Multiply, which is a credit union, which that's kind of BS because credit unions don't have to pay taxes. Big loophole.
Yeah, they've been important in the Children's Hospital drives, our radiothon. Multiply. Yeah, they've been.
Well, if other people didn't have to pay taxes, they could be more charitable too.
Yeah.
I know Emos Pizza and Schnucks have had a lot of NIL kind of dealings with. With Mizzou. Hey, remember Luther Burden when he had his spicy hot chips came out? That was I think old Vienna deal with him. So,
and you mentioned Emos. Is that a vote for Provel cheese?
Could be.
I mean, come on.
Best pizza.
I made a pizza a couple weeks ago, and I put. You know what the secret was? On the crust, I first of all spread some ricotta cheese on there, ricotta, like icing, and
directly on the crust.
Yeah, and then I used
sauce first.
Helene came up with this recipe she found, and then I put the Provel cheese and the homemade mushrooms. I told you I grew some mushrooms at home, good mushrooms. They were pearl oyster mushrooms, And boy, that something about Provel cheese. Now I know a lot of people don't like it.
You're a St. Louis guy. You got to vouch for Provel.
My mom hates it. I love it.
Drake?
It's fine. I
don't
only
care.
like it because it is a St. Louis thing. That is the only reason why I
As
like
long as it's pizza, you don't care, right?
Yeah, exactly.
my favorite
As long as it's on Emos.
Well, that's what makes emos taste different and good. That and the thin crust, I think.
Yeah. I really like that cracker thin crust.
Me too. Yum.
On the other hand, it's sort of a bipolar pizza thing I have because I love the stuffed pizza, the Chicago style pizza.
That's a casserole. That's not a pizza.
Oh,
and
man.
It's
But it's so good.
It's a heart attack on a plate.
Giordano's or Malnati's, Lou Malnati's?
I can't believe people eat that.
Well, you know, it's a casserole, you call it?
It's a casserole. That thing is as thick of it. It's not a pizza. That's a casserole.
Randy's bipolar pizza. huh?
Yeah, he's bipolar.
I have
Just
a
make
bipolar
Missouri
pizza
healthy
taste.
again. And also, I love Chicago pizza.
Give me the stuffed pizza or give me the thin crust. Nothing in between.
So Randy, instead of the shaker Parmesan, he's got a shaker of Depakote that he puts on the bipolar pizza.
That's right.
To be fair, pizza is pie in Italian, and how many pies are you eating that are as thin as normal pizza? I think that Chicago pizza, it's like a pie-ish.
It is. I don't know. There's something about, and let's be honest, if you're going to indulge, go for it. You know, there's something about when you get that Chicago stuff and the grease from the cheese and the sausage sort of sinks into the crust. And oh man, I'm sorry. That's just to die for. Literally do too much of that stuff. What? We got some great pizza places throughout the state, and everyone has their favorite. I mean, that pizza loyalty is almost like sports brand loyalty. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have my favorite place to get pizza.
Yeah.
Well, we had
great places.
Just this week, we're getting word that the guy who was arguably instrumental in bringing one of the very first pizza places to Missouri has passed away. Eris Pardolis, who had Eris Pizza Palace in Jefferson City and in Columbia, in Springfield and Republic.
He
passed away. He was 91.
Great place.
man.
Those were
Good-
great places.
Good Mediterranean
Eris Pizza.
food,
Yeah.
too, not just a pizza.
Love it. Not just you're right. Anything there. All right. Now you're getting me hungry. I haven't had a bite to eat, and we're talking about all this luscious
You brought
food.
up Chicago pizza.
I know.
He
I'm
did.
sorry. My mind went there, and I could not stop it. All right. So, Jennifer, you've been following this
Breaking news last night.
Now we have some news on the Royals, and we're not
Yes.
talking baseball.
This is big, okay? Prince Harry and Meghan Markle heading back home. I'm sorry about that, King Charles. My condolences. These two troublemakers took off during the pandemic to move to California because Meghan couldn't handle being couple number 2, even though that's how that hierarchy works over there.
Mm-hmm.
And she was aware of that as she married in. But Will and Kate got to be number 1 at everything. She couldn't handle it. She's like, let's go to California. Let's quit all our royal duties. Let's demand that the British taxpayers still protect us. And they took off. King Charles just saw his grandkids from them for the first time in 4 years, and they're young kids. Well, last night they announced they're moving back home, and it's kind of a surprise announcement. They're enrolled in school this fall. No word on where exactly they'll live, but now they're definitely going to be a headache. The thing is, Prince Harry's favorability rating is only 30%, 42% unfavorable. Meghan Markle has a 23% favorable, 50% unfavorable over there because they feel betrayed by how they did that Oprah interview, insinuating that
Tell-all book.
in the tell-all book Spare, insinuating that there's racism in the royal family because one senior member of the family wondered out loud what color the baby would be. I've seen black people be like, that's not new. Like, when there's a mixed race couple, we all ask ourselves that too. Like, what are they going to look like, you know? And so just to presume racism, and Oprah was like, what?
I know.
But the British people were very welcoming to her at the outset, but she was so whiny that she felt she was treated unfairly compared to Kate.
Is that a disease of the Hollywood people? They just seem to they need to whine even though they live in the lap of luxury and celebrity and acclaim. I mean, I don't get it.
It's unbelievable. She literally is a little girl in America, grows up to be a beautiful, successful actress and literally marries a prince, but she's still a victim, Randy.
That's like a Disney story. Every little girl wants that, right?
But no. She's still a victim.
Yeah, she's a victim.
Yeah.
Well,
Poor her. Let's all feel sorry for her. In her Montecito mansion, she's got a place in Portugal, and now they'll have a mansion in the UK too. Oh, but their Frogmore Cottage, Randy, that wasn't that nice.
think they're
that
running
they
out of-
had that was free from the royal
They're supposedly
family.
their net worth is like 50, 60 mil.
Yeah, or more.
Well,
I mean, that's
about to
he's got a
starve.
bunch too, and they get all these lucrative deals, but they can't follow through. They've kind of burned their bridges with Netflix. They had so many lucrative deals with them, and there was a leak with one of the executives saying that she's just not a shyster, a huckster or something like.
Do you think
hustler.
Do you think they've just sort of felt some rejection from America, or are they out of money, or what do you think's going on?
I don't think they're out of money. I think I do think that who knows, their whole relevance circles around being royals, and maybe that's fading. As
I mean,
they've had another business venture. They did a movie this month, right?
Yeah.
That got released. It totally flopped. It got beat by just the stupidest stuff in the theaters,
Ooh.
and I forget the name of it. But so this was like another failure business wise. So maybe they feel like they need to try something new and mix it up. They're always rebranding or rolling
No, they're
different
talking
things
about
out.
listing their house for Montecito, Santa Barbara neck of the woods.
Oh, they are saying they're listening it. Last
Yeah,
night
for like
I was said
20 mil or something.
They're going to maintain that residence, is what I
20
read.
mil pocket change for
25?
John Marsh.
Oh.
John, why don't you make a contract on that?
Yeah,
What
that's
the heck?
the victim lives in a $20 million Montecito mansion.
I wonder.
There you go.
They may have a rude awakening when they go back to the UK, right? I mean, I think
And
you
their
know,
kids, like, if the speculation, whatever senior royal it was still alive, it was speculated it might have been Prince Philip. They turned out totally white, like you would never guess that they're both redheads. They both look like Harry.
Well, we'll have to follow that story and see. Now, Prince Charles, he's treated for, King Charles, he's treated for prostate cancer, and I haven't heard that he's deteriorated. Sounds like he's pretty stable.
For a while there, it sounded like it
I
was
know.
pretty serious,
Sound
but
on the
then
rocks.
he came over and did a tour with an aggressive schedule, so hopefully he's doing okay.
And he had some fun, in some of the humor that he had, when he was speaking. So good for him. Good for him. Hey, well, you know what? It is into football season, and even though you may not be able to afford those down on the field 50-yard line seats, there may be an advantage to sitting up in the nosebleed seats at your favorite sporting event. I'll share that with you when we come back on Make Missouri Healthy.
It's Wake
I mean, come on, let's be honest. Who has the time to put in an hour and a half at the gym? And so we're always looking for ways to, at least I am, aren't you? Looking for ways to sort of integrate exercise and healthy habits into your life, right?
Yep.
Well, why not buy the cheap tickets at your favorite stadium and climb the stairs? When you climb the stairs, you burn 20 more calories than walking horizontally.
But I might spill the nachos that I'm carrying in my seats, covered in all the stuff.
Yeah, and if you do that at the current Arrowhead, sometimes you're up above the clouds and you can't see the field.
That Arrowhead is kind of scary to climb up, those things.
They're pretty steep when you get up in the cheap ones.
And it's cold, and you got coats on, and you're trying to carry a beer.
Yeah, but that's what makes it so loud. That's why, like, the such vertical seats and all of that, that's why it's such a loud place, and that's why it's awesome.
Well, there's a guy, Dr. Alberto Minetti from Milan, is a physiologist and a biomechanist. It's interesting. He says that even if you're descending stairs for the same length traveled, you burn 5 times more calories than walking on horizontal ground. It's very interesting.
I believe it.
And think about it. You're also, when you climb stairs, you're building some big muscles. And, muscle bulk means metabolic health. And we're all trying to make sure we maintain muscle strength. And how many of you are on GLP-1s and you're trying to figure out, okay, I got my protein. I might be drinking some of that creatine, but how am I going to build the muscles? I can't go to the gym 7 days a week and lift weights for an hour. Well, maybe you can. That's great if you can. But climb some stairs. You build those big butt and glute and thigh muscles,
Haven't studies shown just even little bursts of activity during the day have good health benefits? So if you're going to your doctor appointment, they're only 1 or 2 floors up, walk up the stairs.
One study...
Walk back down them. Don't take the elevator.
One study that combined a bunch and looked at hundreds of thousands of people saw that stair climbers, regular stair climbers, let's say you work in a building where you're on the 4th floor, and you just always commit to climbing the stairs. If you got to go up a level and talk to the boss, and you go down and, eat lunch downstairs, then you climb back up, 39% lower risk of cardiovascular disease mortality.
Huh.
That's significant. Climbing roughly 5 to 6 flights, that's about 50 to 70 steps per day, has meaningful heart healthy gains. So that might even apply. Let's say you go to the gym. And, okay, you're looking at the elliptical, a treadmill, a rowing machine. There's that stair stepper. Think about getting on the stair stepper. That may give you, for the time invested, you may get a little more cardiorespiratory fitness and build some muscles at the same time. So even if you're just going down this. So, Jennifer, you're a world traveler. When you go on the airport, when you're at the airport, do you go up the stairs, down the stairs, or do you take the escalator when you're having to go from terminal to terminal?
Oh, I'll do escalator because I'll have a rolling bag with me, and it's just easier. But I do like to walk. Like sometimes I'll skip the tram and walk if I have time, just to get that little bit.
I do too.
Of circulation going.
Yep, and I try to climb the stairs when I can. I just think it's helpful.
How about the firefighters and all the volunteers who did the memorial stair climb at Memorial Stadium here a couple of weeks ago? And the 9/11 Memorial Stair Climb in Springfield is next month, if I'm not mistaken. There's an opportunity to climb 110 flights
there
of
you
stairs.
Go. But you build, hamstrings, quads, glutes, calves, and hip stabilizers. And also, if you don't use the rail,
balance, I would think too.
And I'm not advocating this, but if you feel safe, don't use the rails, and you really get some core strength because of the balance. And so you're having to, you don't have the stability of the thing. But I'm not advocating that.
I hold my
and
hand near the rail just in case.
All the insurance companies are going, Randy, what the heck are you talking about? I'm just saying, if you feel really stable, you want to build some core. But at a minimum, take the stairs when you have the chance.
Yeah. I don't want to touch the rail and get the germs, so I try to avoid the rail for that reason.
You don't? The germs are good for your microbiome. If you then grab your hat dog or ham, it gives you
Coach made us run the steps in high school all the time. Burma roads, he called them.
All right. Hey, Keith Ellison's suing a Somali daycare. Stay tuned.
headquarters.
For you to pay a tiny little bit more for your gasoline.
It's your morning addiction.
Tish James has refused to prosecute anti-Semitic hate crimes.
Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell, the Zimmer News Team.
We added Election Integrity to Save America Act with some funding for troops and farmers.
And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
Well, welcome back into Wake Up Missouri. This issue swirling around ICE and ICE agents shooting innocent Americans and those innocent undocumented illegals, you know. There was an ICE agent who was accused of shooting a man in the leg in Minneapolis in January. Name's Christian Castro. He's charged with second-degree assault and one count of falsely reporting a crime in Minnesota, in Hennepin County. Now, this Keith Ellison, this is the guy. Remember, he was a congressman. Remember, he swore on the Quran. Remember when he was sworn in? And just not really your most patriotic American guy. Can we just say that? Can we all agree on that?
Well, we've learned since that Nick Shirley video that came out, they had the congressional hearing, that definitely higher ups in Minnesota government knew about that fraud, and there's like credible evidence that Ellison knew. And Ellison had meetings. Now it hasn't been proved that he took money illegally from them, but he had meetings with them.
Yeah.
The fraudsters, some of the fraudsters.
Yeah, and he claimed that he had no knowledge, you know. Well, come on. So, but now there's a dispute because he's mad. He's suing Texas and Governor Abbott because this ICE agent is in Texas and they want extradition to Minneapolis.
And if they don't get extradition by August 26th, he'll have been in 90 days and he'll have to be let out. So he's been in prison or in custody for almost 3 months. This ICE agent.
So he could walk free from a jail in Texas.
If he's not extradited within 90 days.
Do states have compacts, or is it a one-by-one thing, or what is the extradition?
There's an interstate compact.
Uh-huh.
So that's why he's suing. He's saying that Governor Abbott needs to sign this extradition paperwork for the ICE agent accused of shooting a man in the leg in North Minneapolis in January. He's charged with 4 counts of second-degree assault and 1 count of falsely reporting a crime. And Moriarty and Ellison are stressing that extradition requests are intended to be administrative, and an apparent refusal like Abbott's is extremely rare, if not unprecedented. We've never heard anything taking this long because it's an administrative process. It's not supposed to be controversial. So Ellison's letter said, if you don't extradite him by 5 p.m. on Monday, we'll sue you, and he didn't, so he's been sued now. But Abbott's saying, hey, I don't trust Tim Walz on anything, let alone something like this. Well, they're making demands. I got demands of my own, and that is, it's time for Minnesota to step up and repay the United States of America and Americans for all the fraud that they have committed in their state under federal programs. I will not respond to them at all until they step and do what's right. And they acknowledge their fault in the fraud that took place, and they fully repay the United States of America $9 billion.
Well, first of all, I don't trust Tim Walz on anything, let alone something like this. But listen, while they're making demands, I got a demand of my own, and that is, it's time for Minnesota to step up and repay the United States of America and Americans for all the fraud that they've committed in their state under federal programs.
He got worked up. He is fired up.
I will not respond to them at all until they step up and do what's right, and they acknowledge their fault in the fraud that took place, and they fully repay the United States of America for the fraud they committed.
Good. Let's bring this up. Let's bring this up all the time before the midterms. These Democrats allow this fraud in California and Minnesota. They're stealing our money, my money, your money. This is American tax dollars that they are not administrating these programs properly and just allowing rampant fraud.
And this is just a taste of what socialism looks like. You take people's money, you give it to people that are going to give you a vote and continue to expand your power and your
And then there's
oppression.
less and less money to redistribute, and everyone gets poorer and poorer, and you have famine. It's just a disaster. But they think they stole $9 billion up there. That would take spending $1 million a day, $24.6 years to spend $1 million a day to spend $9 billion. That's the amount of money we're talking about. So I'm glad Abbott's bringing that up.
Good for...
Like, I have a demand, too. Pay back that money that you allowed to be stolen, because we've seen through congressional testimony and other evidence, and including an independent audit in their own state of Minnesota, they knew that this fraud was happening and didn't stop it because they were afraid of being called racist, or maybe because they were getting donations. Who knows? But they allegedly retaliated against whistleblowers about this as well in state government.
How rich is this at the Somali daycare state?
Yeah.
Where
the Leering Center.
The Leering Center state is suing Texas that when it comes to right and wrong, no bones about it. Remember, Greg Abbott is the guy that finally figured out how to put up a border wall that would work. First of all, he got struck down when he put the fences in the middle of the river, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
the Rio Grande, the DOJ went after him for that one.
Yeah, but it was working, man. Oh, what's dangerous? Those poor little immigrants, they could get caught in that. That's the whole point. Of course. Thank you very much. That's exactly what it is. Let one of them get caught in it, and the word will get out. And just as fast as it got out that you can cross without any obstruction, and okay,
or not,
then
like
it'll
they
stop.
had people drown doing that.
Well, sorry,
yeah,
you know, that would be
fence
CA.
might prevent more people from trying to cross and ending up drowning.
That would be CAFO. Cross around and find out. Right?
Where's the K in that?
CAFO.
Oh, I thought you said a CAFO. Oh, you're just pronouncing.
I was pronouncing.
My bad.
A C can be pronounced as a consonant, young Drake. It can be.
Oh, really? It just sounded like you said the letter K. I'm sorry, Randy.
It's nuanced, admittedly. Okay, now in other news, in case you're just joining us, big court decision in Cole County for those of you who were concerned about what's going to happen with the redistricting. Are we going to have 7 districts, 8 districts, 6 districts? What's going on? Jennifer, Missouri First won.
Yeah, another win for the proponents of the Missouri First map. They had a referendum right after we passed the map after the Missouri legislature did by special session last year, where they gathered all these signatures and they turned them into Secretary of State Denny Hoskins to try to undo the Missouri First map, which would give us 7-1 Republican to Democrat congressmen. And yesterday, Judge Green down in Cole County said that he blocked a bid for that referendum to be placed on the November ballot. So it's going to get appealed up to the Missouri Supreme Court. But for now, things are going the Missouri First way.
Now, there was wasn't there something about initiative petition? There was another.
Yeah,
you mentioned that yesterday. Where's that at?
Fundamentally and radically would change the way that we do initiative petitions. That was also heard, I believe, I'm unclear. I think it was being heard on Tuesday when I was in for you. That's what Secretary of State Hoskins said.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. I haven't seen the ruling on that one. This was a 37-page ruling that he issued on this, but it was 2 different lawsuits and 2 different matters.
That was pretty. I mean, I still wonder about it. I'd like to have had that battle early on, but it's pretty wily of Denny Hoskins.
You got to run the clock out, Randy.
I don't understand. I don't understand why. But that's okay. That's another issue.
Well, the Respect Mo Voters guy immediately after Green's ruling on that immediately said, yep, we're appealing. And like Denny Hoskins told us, he fully expects both of them to head up and final say-so, presumably, in front of the Missouri Supreme Court.
Yeah, that's what he told us. Either way, it was getting appealed. So I was like, are you going to court today? And he's like, well, no, he'll go to court when it's the Missouri Supreme Court hearing it, which they will either way.
Now, we joked around in the newscast and said it might be time for Denny to drop off the red blazer at the dry cleaner so he looks good when he heads before the High Court.
I bet he's got a rotation of those, right?
You have to ask him if he has more than one blazer.
I bet he does.
I bet he does.
I would guess so.
That's his whole brand.
But it's not like red blazers. When I walk through the department store, I'm not seeing red blazers hanging off every hanger. They're not. Red blazer may be hard
Unless
to come
you're
by.
in Tuscaloosa.
Well, you always know who he is. That's the thing.
That's true.
It's identifiable. So it's good branding, personal branding, I guess.
Yeah. Politics is a cutthroat business, though. It really is.
Boy, howdy.
Saw this story in Axios about this cycle, some of the things that have gone on. Up in Alaska, they had this guy who was like a school teacher. His name was the same as one of the...
So Senator Dan S. Sullivan, Republican Alaska, had to face off against a school teacher, Dan J. Sullivan. That's the kind of dirty tricks. They do that thing with the same or similar names quite often. Actually, that's not the first time I've seen that. And then they had a Senate Democratic candidate in Nebraska and Idaho and South Dakota all dropped out at the last minute in an effort to bolster the chances of independent candidates to oust Republicans. So, yeah, they're always doing these things with the timing.
The real Dan Sullivan won, right?
Yeah.
In Alaska.
Yeah,
in
luckily.
Alaska, yeah.
Then they have 11th hour switcheroos where they get drop re-election bids just before the deadline to file to run for their seats to ensure that their chosen successor would not face primary opposition. That happens all the time. Like when you don't announce your retirement, you just like give a heads up to your buddy.
Yeah.
And then you file for your seat. You're the incumbent, so people don't challenge you. And then you're like, oh, I retract my filing. And then your friend files and then doesn't have an opponent in the primary.
And AIPAC, of course, El Sayed's favorite group, they used Super PAC's names that were a little bit, you wouldn't have known they were coming from AIPAC to boost their own House candidates through groups called, in Illinois, Chicago Progressive Partnership, Elect Chicago Women, and Affordable Chicago Now. And they're all AIPAC PACs.
You know what? The Respect Missouri Voters Pact?
Yeah.
That's a wholly designed so that out-of-state actors can mess it with our Constitution and our laws, and our own elected legislature can't do anything about it. So it's nothing about respecting Missouri voters. They do that on the left.
You know, we were talking about the two candidates with the same name, and when this first came up, it made me think of when President Trump, in a certain Senate race in the state of Missouri, endorsed two Erics at the same time.
He did.
That is right.
Greitens and Schmidt. He just said he was in there for Eric.
Remember when Senator Blunt faced Chief Wannadoobie? That was a funny one, too.
From
Blunt
Osage
versus Wannadoobie.
Well, look, we normally talk about healthy stuff, in the last hour at 6:50, but I am really getting anxiety over what's going on with one of my favorite vegetables. But on the other hand, one of my favorite sandwiches is getting a revamp and doing well. That coming up in just a minute on Wake Up Missouri.
It's Wake Up
changing, and we've had those discussions about how much does human activity influence that. Our friend Tony Lupo says, well, the weather's changing, and if there's a little influence in it, it's not really going to overcome the major cycles we have. I'm paraphrasing our many discussions. But in California, there's drought conditions, and they're saying that one of the most popular, if not the most consumed, vegetables in the country could be threatened with supply. Could go down 20%. I didn't realize this, but California grows 90% of America's eighth most consumed vegetable. Do you know what it is? Broccoli. Is that one of your faves, Drake?
Do I look like I eat vegetables?
Why did I ask that question? Jen, is that one of your faves?
You know, I do try to eat it because it's very good for you. It's good. It's got good fiber and vitamins. I serve it a lot, but yeah, it's not the thing on the dinner table that I'm putting out that I'm most excited to chow down on.
Do you know why broccoli and the other related cruciferous vegetables are very good for women in general, and maybe more than men?
Why?
They have substances in there that help you metabolize, that switch the metabolism of estrogen into a more friendly estrogen.
Ooh.
So when it comes to stimulating estrogen-sensitive tissues like breast and uterus and so forth.
Does that make us friendlier towards others that we live with?
No. What I'm saying is it might, I think it's helpful to eat cruciferous vegetables. It's good for all of us. A lot of antioxidants in there. Now, it's all in how you do the broccoli, though. You have to, you boil it just for a few minutes, or steam it even better.
Mm-hmm.
But then you plunge it into ice water. And that's how it gets that emerald green, beautiful, if you go to a good...
And then you eat it cold?
No. It's still warm, but, and then you can warm it up if you want.
After an ice bath?
Well, but that helps lock in the greenness of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what I learned from my wife, because I wanted the crisp, brilliant emerald broccoli. What is the number one consumed vegetable in the country? Jen?
I would say potatoes.
John?
I don't know, wheat in the form of bread, maybe?
That's not a vegetable.
It is potatoes. But excluding regular, Idaho potatoes, sweet potatoes, and mushrooms are apparently pretty highly consumed. Aside from those three, onions.
But mushrooms aren't vegetables, are they?
Oh, they're fungi.
Yeah.
Tomato is second. Leaf and romaine lettuce. I don't know if this is old data, though, but it doesn't account.
Yeah.
Cyclospora. Head lettuce, number 4. Bell peppers. So broccoli comes in number 8. Cabbage, 9. Carrots are pretty popular. How come cauliflower isn't on here? I love cauliflower.
I prefer cauliflower to broccoli.
It's good. Who likes... Now, did you see the other story about food? I don't know why we're on a food kick this morning. We talked about pizza, and we got to talking in the control room about cereal. What's your favorite, if you're going to eat a fast food burger chain burger? What is it? Drake?
Steak and Shake.
Okay. Smash burgers
Yeah, smash burgers.
Jen?
I like a Culver's Butterburger.
Oh, that's a good one. John?
Gee, I don't know. I don't eat a lot of the fast food ones. Can we give a shout out to Oscars in Jefferson City? They get a pretty good burger.
Well,
fast food, probably Mickey D's, just because it's convenient.
Well, Burger King used the chef who had worked at Popeyes, some popular chicken there, to add a more premium bun, new mayo, and a box to preserve freshness to their Whopper, and they are on a comeback. They are coming back after struggling for years. So the king may be coming back when it comes to burgers. I don't know. When we come back, how not to answer a debate question if you're Lindsey Graham's sister.
I think just local.
For Bukowski in for Stephanie and John Marsh and Drake Whitman, we are hanging out with you and thankful that you're hanging out with us. Colonel Stephen Bucci will join us at the 8:05 spot because we got to ask him about some news reports that Iran's being propped up, and whether it's financial ties, whether it is munitions, other supplies with Russia and China, and figure out what he knows about that, and if this economic war that Trump says he's declaring on Iran that will be like epic on top of what's already been done, whether that's going to work. So we'll be doing that. Now, Jennifer, if you're Darlene Graham, Lindsey Graham's, the late Lindsey Graham's sister, and you're appointed by the governor to fill the slot, but now you've decided to run for senator. And you know that Lindsey Graham is his big calling card was foreign policy, right? That was it.
Yeah.
You would think that you'd bone up a little bit on your foreign policy, right? Well, think again. Because she actually was in a Senate debate the other day, and Greta Van Susteren and a couple other, moderators were questioning, and here's what happened.
Are Taiwan and the South China Sea national security issues for the United States? If so, why?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Are Taiwan and the South China Sea national security issues for the United States, and if so, why or how?
I'm just going to be honest here. I'm not on national security. I'm not that informed on national security, so. But I do support the military.
Oh, ouch.
She could have answered it better, Randy. She could have still been honest and said, listen, I'm not Lindsey Graham. I'm not going to pretend that I spent the last 30 years studying foreign policy like he did, like my brother did. My focus has been elsewhere. But any United States senator needs to understand that an increasingly aggressive China, the security of Taiwan, and the South China Sea all affect American security, our economy, and our allies. Where I don't know something, I'll study it. Listen to our commanders and intelligence professionals and make decisions based on America's interests. You can admit that you don't know something, but that you're willing to work and study it and that you know it's important. That would have been a more effective answer. And quite frankly, you're heading into a debate. You're seeking a job in the U.S. Senate. You need to be prepared to offer answers like that to inspire confidence. What she did there does not inspire confidence that she'll be able to handle the position.
Yeah. I think that
I like her candor, but I don't like how unprepared she was for that question.
Well, and if you think about it, we really hammered AOC when she was over in that conference
And I had the same criticism,
and
Randy.
It was the same
I was
deal.
like, you knew for months you were going there. You had an 8-hour plane ride on the way there. They're going to ask you this. You need to come up with something. You can admit that you're not an expert in an area, but at the same time be committed to learning about it, knowing its importance, and know the bare bones of it without sounding like an idiot. You knew you were going to be on camera, on a stage. It wasn't like this was somebody on the Hill running up to her with a mic and asking her something she wasn't ready to go. She was at a national security conference and couldn't answer a question about a major issue of foreign policy facing our country.
You're so right. And boy, man, I would think that the people around her, certainly she
has all kinds of staff. They could prep if you're too busy to come up with it. Like memorize a few flashcards of stuff they've written for you, for goodness sake, as long as you agree with it.
She almost sounded like the pageant contestant who was was caught off guard a little bit by the question.
You're right. Well, in other news of politicians, I don't know what they're thinking. Lawrence, Massachusetts Mayor Brian DePena was arrested after he allegedly misused more than $1.5 million of economic injury disaster loans.
This one is like, is this real or is this The Onion? I could not believe this video when I saw it.
That was that CARES program. Remember when they, the government was handing out money like, peanuts at the ball game. And anyway.
Hey, they charge for those.
Did you see that he got arrested? So anyway, I guess when he either turned himself in or after his arraignment, that was it. After his arraignment, he gets in a car with his lawyer. The lawyer's driving, and his lawyer puts it in gear and rams the car in front of him.
What?
It was hilarious.
Well, that's not good.
And
but isn't this the one that doesn't speak English? The mayor doesn't speak English. He doesn't speak
he
English.
doesn't speak
no comment.
English. No comment.
And he
Said the
walked out
assistant of the mayor.
saying, "God bless you. God bless you." It was weird. It was really weird the way he was talking.
Only in Massachusetts would you elect a mayor who does not speak a language, right?
Allegedly. I don't believe him that he's saying, "God bless you," and saying he doesn't speak any English. It sounds like a good cover.
Yeah, it does.
But how are you a mayor in an American city if you don't speak English?
He was born in. He was born in the
speak Arabic up in some of the cities up there. You want to get into that?
Don't they have to pass a test in English to become citizens?
Yeah.
He was born in the Dominican. Was elected mayor in 2021. Won re-election just last year.
Now, how did he steal all that money allegedly if he doesn't know how to speak or read English?
And it gets better. He's previously acknowledged that he was once a, quote, undocumented immigrant, saying he came to the United States without papers and later became a U.S. citizen.
Well, isn't that shocking that someone who was willing to break our laws and enter our country unlawfully would then commit another crime? It's
Boy, have you
almost
ever
like
heard
you're
guys,
seeing a pattern.
Some of those guys like Big Papi and all, they were Dominicans and spoke English, but boy, you couldn't hardly understand them. Maybe that was what was going on.
Well, how did he? I really would like to know how he supposedly stole all this money if he doesn't speak English. Don't you have to read some English to commit that fraud, to get those checks? Or is everything in Spanish to make it easier for people?
Well, doesn't the government publish everything in dual languages now?
You would think, like, if you're talking that much money, you're going to have to be able to have some proficiency with English at some point.
I think
we're a co-conspirator.
The way he was walking that video, I guess we don't have that video cute. It was weird.
Yeah.
But I thought he was faking. He was faking like he couldn't understand what people were saying.
There was so much money just falling out of the sky like manna from heaven. And the banks were administering these loan programs and the payroll protection plan and all that. And we were involved with that. And we had to, at the hospital at the time I was running, and we had to really perform with the bank that was administering our stuff. Man, you'd have thought you were undergoing a federal audit. It was very, very close. Had to account for every penny and had to really I remember I was up till 8, 9 o'clock at night, most nights during all of COVID and during all of that time with the CFO, just going over things, and he was struggling and trying to run the hospital and get the money. And it seemed like the scrutiny was pretty tough, but yet a lot of people were involved with fraud,
I got the video. I found Libs of TikTok posted this video saying, "How is this even real?" I posted it there on our show sheet.
Yeah, so
check this out. You were not going to believe this.
It's amazing. Here's this guy.
Do you have any comment to the city?
Hi, guy. Hi, guy.
Hi, guy.
How are you?
That's the mayor. Hi, guy.
Excuse me, guys. I don't want to. Just relax. Thank you. God bless you. God bless you.
That's the mayor.
God bless you.
We're not. We're just.
God bless you.
Sure. Do you think they?
Do you want to say anything? Doesn't speak English.
Are you going to? Are you
innocent?
innocent, sir?
No comment. Thank you. No, he's done a great job in Lawrence. Thank you, guys. God bless you.
What are you blessing us for?
Yeah, the lawyer's saying no comment, and then the lawyer gets in his fancy.
The lawyer says he doesn't speak English. No comment.
And then he gets in his car and he rams the car in front of him. And for a while, the attorney didn't get out of his car. Whenever you have an altercation for someone, the first thing you do is stop.
Yeah.
And then get out and talk with the person, or if they're not there, you take a picture. The guy finally did the right thing. He pulls out like he's going to leave. He pulls up alongside the car that he had run into, parked right in front of him on the curb. And you couldn't see any damage from, the camera angle. But he did get out, and because the cameras are going, the cell phones are going, right? And he gets out and takes a picture with his cell phone of the license plate. So I don't know. How come he didn't leave his number there? I didn't see him leave his number there. That attorney should have left his number. How come he wasn't asked that by the
I didn't see that accident
standers
part of it. I did get hit the other day. I'm sitting at a light.
You did?
Got slammed into from behind. And then I get out. I'm like, okay. It's some girl. She's like, I haven't slept since whenever young. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And then there's like no damage to my car. I'm like, go get some sleep. Drive more carefully. And I let her go.
You were fortunate. Yeah.
Yeah. But she was fortunate that I wasn't
Did
like, she offered me her information, but I'm like, my bumper's fine. Just go home and get some sleep.
Did she not stop while you were stopped, or did she start up before
I was stopped at the light, and she slammed into me from behind while I was just sitting there.
Yeah,
at the
it
light.
wasn't like the light turned green and she accelerated.
No. I was sitting there at a red light. But
Well,
no damage done. So I was like, okay, people make mistakes, but go get some sleep if you're that tired that you're accidentally bumping into people.
In this time of tough economic difficulties for people, right? I mean, hard to put food on the table, hard to pay the energy bill, there's just a lot of people struggling with just getting the basics covered. This socialist message is resonating, and Bernie Sanders is at it. He's capitalizing on our time. He's announced a new proposal to protect federal student loan borrowers from having their Social Security checks garnished. Oh. So I guess one of the provisions of the federal student loans are that, if you're not paying your bills, if you're not paying your loan back, they can garnish your wages or garnish your Social Security check. And now he's just this whole thing about don't pay your bills, get forgiven. Don't, cross the border, we'll give you citizenship, give you some amnesty. At a minimum, we'll give you some yellow piece of paper that says come back to a court, whenever you want. Or not. Doesn't matter.
Well, we only have $40 trillion in debt, Randy. It's not that big a deal. All right? We don't need to collect money that people borrow from us.
In the richest country in the world, most seniors should have their Social Security payments taken away from them to pay back student debt. This is especially true when seniors throughout the country already cannot afford the skyrocketing price of health care, prescription drugs, groceries, and housing.
So are these seniors, or are these like people that are now claiming disability and collecting Social Security that haven't paid off their student loans?
His proposal would apply to either retirement Social Security or disability Social Security.
Well, the disability one, that has some fraud in that program, in my opinion.
Bernie Sanders, why don't you go back to Russia, where you belong? John, what's coming up when we come back?
Cover the kids' ears. What the hell, man?
I can't wait for that when we come back on Wake Up Missouri. Thanks for being here.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
Except for this.
A raccoon wandered a Dallas neighborhood for several days with its head stuck in a mayonnaise jar before finally being rescued by animal control workers. After many capture attempts, the critter, which the locals named Mayonnaisa, holed up in a tree near an abandoned house. Well, animal service guys waited patiently for her to come back out. Once they had safely captured Mayonnaisa, they took her to Dallas Animal Services, where she was sedated and given fluids before they pulled the jar off. Aside from dehydration after several days without food and water, she was in remarkably good condition and full of energy. They joked if she gets in trouble again, she may be extradited to Minnesota. Texas Wildlife Care took care of Mayonnaisa before releasing her into the wild with a male coon with a broken paw who they had named Hellman. Well, you got some funny animal control guys in DFW, don't they?
Hellman. They made a sandwich and had a baby.
That's right.
And they had a whole bunch of raccoons. Isn't that funny? Mayonnaisa.
Yep.
That must be well, let's see. I guess
Sounds Hispanic.
A big mayo jar might have a pretty wide mouth on it, yeah? That you could get man, that's a small raccoon to get their head stuck in a jar like that. Well, maybe not.
Why are you spending a lot of time saving a raccoon? I don't like raccoons at all.
No.
And they could carry rabies, too. So.
Yeah, they're not my favorite.
They're big troublemakers.
Yeah, but imagine, for a week you have this raccoon running around with a mayonnaise jar on your head. I mean, it's probably scaring kids or...
Yeah.
I'd be scared if I saw a raccoon with mayonnaise on its head.
At 22, it'd solve that issue.
If the raccoons had Marines, that would be a jarhead, right?
There you go.
Oh. How do you think they did that to avoid injuring? How would they get that up? Did they slip it off or did they crack the glass and break it?
Yeah, it didn't say, but they said they sedated her and who knows, greased up the inside of the mayonnaise jar and slipped it off. Or like you said, broke it? I don't know.
Mayonnaise is pretty slippery, so it must have been an empty, clean jar in the trash. Well, obviously it was in the trash.
Well, she'd probably licked all the goodies out after got her head stuck in it initially.
Oh, those raccoons! Once in a blue moon, it happens. I have one last bag, and I put it out for the trash. The night before, on top of the bags in the dumpster, in the containers, the roll cart, and I sneak one on top, thinking it's going to be safe. Usually, it is. Once in a while, I have to come out early in the morning and rebag it because the coons have gotten into it. I think that's when there's some maybe fish, stuff in there.
Really don't want the coons coming around.
That's fun to clean up.
Big rabies carriers like a skunk.
Yeah.
Now, you have a blind dog, Randy, but I'm sure a lot of listeners out there have had like a young lab or some young big dog that'll go and like tear up the trash if it's like even
that's true,
slightly open. We have to barricade ours like down with.
I've had a dog
stuff.
get into the, when we once in a while that covering for the kitchen trash can, either the little lid gets off or is open. I've had dogs get in and chew aluminum foil that has you've covered. I mean, they're stupid. Why would you chew aluminum foil?
Tastes good.
Oh,
have you ever done it?
No.
Then you can't say it doesn't taste good, Randy.
Well, they'll do anything. Dogs will tear things up.
Especially if you had some goodies covered up with the aluminum foil, and then when it was all eaten, the stuff still stuck to the foil. Yeah, that's.
And then there's the very rare episode where the dog gets into something chocolate, and then I'm remembering, I don't think dogs are supposed to eat chocolate. Isn't there something bad about that?
Poison.
Then I get worried.
Yeah, and if you chew aluminum foil, the dentists always call that galvanic shock, where you can get a spark on your teeth. Oh, yeah.
And if you belch at the wrong time, it could be disastrous.
Set the room on fire.
Back with Colonel Bucci after this.
Zimmer Radio Network headquarters.
For you to pay a tiny little bit more for your gasoline.
It's your morning addiction.
Tish James has refused to prosecute anti-Semitic hate crimes.
Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell, the Zimmer News Team.
We added Election Integrity to Save America Act with some funding for troops and farmers.
And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
And other places. They found other alternatives, which they never thought about. Texas, Alaska, Louisiana, and other places. The Hormuz Strait's not going to be quite as important as it was.
So Donald Trump saying that the straits aren't quite as important. We have other sources of oil. At the same time, there's no negotiations going on. But there's news around there, that is those parts. And to help us sort out the latest news, Colonel Stephen Bucci joins us from Heritage and at SBucci on X. Steve, welcome into the program. Things are changing, and I got to ask you the question, is Scott Bessent now our major war fighter through economic terms?
In a sense, yes, he is. I don't know, whether you could say one is more major than the other, but for sure, the economic element of power, which is the Secretary of the Treasury's thing, is enormous in this particular conflict, and it always is really. But in this case, it has an enormous ability to influence Iran, maybe more so than the kinetic, because the Iranians don't mind dying. At least the government doesn't, for their cause. They're true believers in all this and, would love to have martyrdom. But if you squeeze them so hard economically, they don't have anything left to use. It sort of changes the dynamic. So he is Secretary of Treasury is always a big deal with regard to international conflict. But in this case, probably even more so than usual.
Colonel Bucci, we heard Secretary Scott Bessent and President Trump both describe what they plan to do here as unprecedented economic warfare against Iran. Do you know what they mean by that? What's new? What's unprecedented that they're willing to deploy right now?
They can literally shut them off from any ability to deal with other countries. They are choking off their ability to earn any kind of hard currency, and that's not an instantaneous effort, but it's one that basically can be decisive. So, I don't think what they're doing is unprecedented. I think the plan to use it as the tool that drives them down and out is the effects may be unprecedented. I think in that regard, that would be an accurate portrayal.
Well, the UAE, Colonel Bucci, has now suspended all trade and financial transactions with Iran after accusing Tehran of firing 2 ballistic missiles towards the Emirates. How big of a development is that? And is that in any way connected to this announcement of unprecedented economic warfare that we should see in the coming week from the United States against Iran?
Certainly, we've got to have cooperation or at least acquiescence of their neighbors to make this work. The neighbors could cause this whole thing to go sideways, the economic part of it, if they tried to fight against it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they will. I think they have frankly, just as big, if not a bigger interest in getting a different government in power in Tehran as Israel or the United States does, because they see this regime as the biggest threat that they face. Even the countries that can be relatively cooperative with Iran really want to get rid of this regime. They're unstable. They're not terribly easy to work with, even if you're doing it in, what appears to be a more collegial manner than our relationship with them. But they, all of these countries, I think, are going to come on board and at least not try and, help them circumvent this effort, but in more likelihood that they'll jump in and add to it. And that's going to be pretty decisive.
That's Stephen Bucci, visiting fellow for Special Ops and Disaster Management at Heritage. We're always privileged to check in with Steve, who served America for 3 decades as a Special Forces officer in the Army and a top Pentagon official. We're talking Iran. What's the route and the way out here on Wake Up, Missouri?
Colonel, on a related note, what's your take on the president's call to roll back the FTX with the South Koreans and the next day the North Koreans launching missiles again?
I think the president's intent is not to enable North Korea for sure, but he is trying to help influence South Korea to cooperate with us in other areas than just on their own peninsula, and normally they do. So I don't think this is some watershed break in our relationship with South Korea, but certainly North Korea will read it as an opportunity to kind of flex their muscles and get some attention. They don't like to see anybody else get attention but themselves. And this is the kind of nonsense they do. North Korea has a really stellar record of hitting all of its targets with its missiles. It shoots at the ocean and hits it darn near every time. So they're really not the gigantic 10-foot-tall threat some people like to believe. And to be honest with you, it's probably causing more head shaking and hands to foreheads in Beijing than it is in Washington. They're just troublesome.
Let me play a little something, just a little clip from a Fox News report that troubled me concerning the Indo-Pacific, and I heard this yesterday. Want your reaction, please?
The president said he's also looking to restart talks with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un.
Are you expecting to meet with him later this year?
Yeah, I will be.
And provided an intelligence estimate on how many nukes North Korea has.
He has 57 very powerful nuclear weapons.
To deal with threats from North Korea and China right now, the U.S. Navy does not have an aircraft carrier in the Pacific.
It was that last little bit that caught my attention, Steve. Are we underpowered in the Pacific now, or is this sort of standard operating capacity there?
We prefer to have one there, but with the swap out with the Abraham Lincoln, and so they're moving the Washington over there. We have other assets in the Pacific right now. I mean, the Chinese know probably better than a lot of our news sources who, tend to start to swoon and clutch their pearls at any announcement like this. The Chinese know this is not like, oh, there's no Americans here, let's go do something bad to Taiwan or somebody else. They know we can adjust that either through long-range aircraft and other systems momentarily, or in a moment, and we can get our ships there. They move around, and there are other assets there like submarines. Would we prefer to have a carrier there? Yeah, we would, but we don't have enough carriers. Yeah. That's something. I'm not a naval specialist, but it's pretty easy to count. And we have the best carriers in the world. They're unbelievably powerful platforms, but they can't be everywhere. So as America pursues its national interests in foreign affairs, we got to move around sometimes, and we don't always get to keep one everywhere at the same time. We just don't have enough to do the swap outs, even if we weren't fighting a conflict with Iran. So Not an ideal situation, but not a big game changer. We've done this kind of thing before, and the naval planners and the other joint planners at the Pentagon and in PACOM, we've got this. It's okay.
Well, it sounds like, our adversaries may be seeing in America whose military resources are being stretched with not having a carrier there and the Strait of Hormuz and, North Korea firing these missiles. At what point does being stretched become a deterrence problem?
It's a long way from where it is right now. I can't give you a time period or anything. It's something we watch when you're moving your assets around to bring emphasis in one area. That obviously draws down the emphasis in some of the other areas. But that's why we have the kind of diversified defense structure that we have with the combatant commands out in those theaters, but also the regional focus back in the Pentagon. So no one's going to drop the ball here, and we do communicate with our adversaries to ensure that they don't misconstrue a situation as an opportunity. We let them know we're still watching them and that we've got lots of things to respond with.
In that regard, just a little minute left here. What kind of conversations are going on with Oman and Yemen other than the public one with Oman when, Trump says we're going to blow the you-know-what out of them? I mean, are we going to have a surprise there?
I don't think so. I think the Omanis are not foolish. They really don't want to be tarred as, another proxy for Iran. And they don't see themselves that way. And I don't think they want anybody else to think that's the case.
Okay.
I think they'll see the light and stop this sort of nascent cooperation that they're having right now with this government in Iran. If there was a new government in Iran and the Omanis want to work with them, that'd probably be just fine.
Yeah. Okay, I hear the music playing. We've been talking about deep dish stuffed Chicago pizza. And with a name like Steve Bucci, certainly you love pizza, right?
Absolutely. It's soul food.
Are you a deep dish guy, the Chicago style pizza? And if so, where's your favorite one?
I do like deep dish pizza in New York. We refer to it as Sicilian pizza. And I like it very well. Up here, this will sound weird, but there's a company up here called Jets. That is a Detroit-based one. They claim their deep dish pizza is specifically Detroit. It's actually very good. But up here in northern Michigan, I don't get to Chicago enough to have a favorite down in that area.
All right. There you go. There's one for deep dish pizza. Jen says it's nothing more than a casserole. We'll have to have a rumble over that one. Thank you, Steve.
I don't know about that.
Thanks, Steve. We love you, man. Thank you so much. Talk to you later.
Have a great week.
All right. There he is. Be back with the Marketing Market Report in a minute.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
Time for the morning bell. Here's Jennifer Bukowski.
Wall Street finished higher Wednesday, snapping a 3-day losing streak. The Dow gained 120 points. The S&P 500 rose 0.2%, and the Nasdaq added 0.2%. One thing helping stocks yesterday was a significant retreat in long-term Treasury yields after the Treasury Department announced measures aimed at supporting the long-duration bond market. But that relief is already fading this morning. Futures are pointing lower, heading toward the opening bell. In the latest pre-market trading, the Dow is down roughly 0.7%. The S&P futures are down about 0.5%, and Nasdaq is down about 0.8%. And there are really three things on the market this morning contributing to that: interest rates, oil, and Walmart. The 10-year Treasury yield is back around 4.7%, and the 30-year has climbed above 5.2%. Investors are increasingly concerned about both inflation and the supply of government debt, especially now that the national debt has crossed $40 trillion. Then there's oil. West Texas Intermediate crude jumped more than 3% this morning to roughly $89 a barrel, while Brent crude is trading above $93 a barrel. The continuing Iran conflict and uncertainties surrounding shipping through the Strait of Hormuz are putting the geopolitical risk premium right back into energy prices, and motorists are feeling it. The latest AAA figures put the national average for regular gasoline at about $4.07 a gallon. That's roughly 93 cents higher than a year ago. And AAA says that this is the most expensive August on record for gasoline. Here in Missouri, the latest AAA average is about $3.81 a gallon compared to $2.83 a year ago. In Columbia, it's running around $3.90. And then finally, the business story this morning is Walmart, because Walmart may be telling us something important about the American consumer. The nation's largest retailer reported earnings this morning, and its stock dropped about 6% before the opening bell. Why? Walmart's U.S. comparable sales grew just 2.6%. That's considerably below the roughly 3.8% that Wall Street had expected. It was Walmart's first comparable sales miss in more than 5 years. And then there's an important detail buried in those numbers. Customers appear to be pulling back on discretionary purchases as higher gasoline prices eat into household budgets. Store traffic growth slowed as consumers concentrated more of their spending on necessities. But Walmart's report isn't entirely gloomy. Revenue still rose 6% to $188 billion. Online sales jumped 24%. And Walmart actually raised its full-year sales and earnings outlook. So Americans are still spending, but they're becoming much more selective where their money goes.
Well, and they're saying they're going to use these tariff refunds to keep prices low. That's a good thing for folks listening. I wonder if other big box stores, if everyone getting a refund is going to pass that on. Many didn't pass it on in terms of on the way up. They tried to hold it off, when they were having to pay the tariff prices. So now maybe they'll pay it back. We'll see. More coming up.
Has America been fair?
Welcome back into Wake Up Missouri. Thanks for being with us. The text line, 573-874-9390. 800-529-5572. Now, there's the state fair is going on as we speak, right, Jennifer? Jennifer's in for Stephanie, who's
They're
at the
all
state.
at that ham breakfast, which I'm told is like the one day a year when all these people that have been fighting each other in campaigns and hate each other have to be around and stand around and be nice to each other and pretend to like each other.
Yeah, remember when when Hawley and his
Lucas Coons
his
or
opponent
something?
Lucas Coons got into a big face-to-face, shouting match.
I don't remember that
Couple years
specifically,
ago.
but yeah, I know Coons was always trying
2024, I think it was. Yeah.
Right, it was in that election cycle. Yeah, well, they got into it there. So Stephanie's at the state fair, I think, at the ham breakfast today.
Yep. And she and Mark just got a major victory representing the RNC in Cole County Court, and where Denny Hoskins, got his decision, got affirmed not to put that referendum on the ballot. So kudos to Ellinger Bell.
Have you ever been? So if you're ever sitting there just wondering about your life and about whether or not it's exciting enough, I saw this Instagram thing.
You're almost 40. Your life must be so boring. No, I just saw a cardinal and a finch eating out of my bird feeder. So, joke's on you.
Now,
40. That's more like a 70-year-old. So that's like my parents. They're like, "Oh, we saw this, and then we saw this." Creature.
She's sitting there. She's a 40-year-old gal. And she's sitting there with her hands on her coffee cup, going like, "Yeah, you think your life's boring?" Now, Drake, that would not be boring to you. A finch and a cardinal. You would love that.
That's the best way to spend your mornings.
You're the Birdman, not of Alcatraz, but of mid-Missouri.
Yeah, the Birdman of mid-Missouri.
Yeah.
No, sitting there drinking good coffee, maybe having some breakfast, maybe just sitting there drinking coffee, watching the birds at your bird feeder. It's awesome.
You are ready for retirement then, buddy.
That sounds like
you're going to have a beautiful retirement. Just get a bird feeder and you're happy.
Sounds like the life, huh?
Well, did you see who Royce White, who has declared himself eligible for the WNBA, who he hired as his lawyer, Randy?
Matt Gaetz,
Matt
you told
Gaetz.
me? From Florida, the former congressman.
Yeah. So he's officially declared identifying as transgender for the purposes of basketball, sometimes transgender. And he's picked Matt Gaetz, who said under the articles, Ms. White identifies as a transgender and consistent with these articles. She's over 22, has no more intercollegiate eligibility, so she's eligible for the draft, and we request written confirmation of the league's receipt of this notice within 10 business days and a written determination of her eligibility status.
Earlier this week, I made the announcement. I'm transgender. I'm a woman. I identify as sometimes identifying as a woman for purposes of basketball, professional basketball. So I'll be declaring for the WNBA draft in 2027 as well. I think I'd be unstoppable, but I'm a team first guy. I'm a pass first kind of player. I do the little things. I led my team in all 5 major stat categories at Iowa State University. So I do a little bit of everything. I'll do whatever the coach needs me to do.
So he's officially announced he's going to be in the draft.
Yeah, that's great. We'll see, but they are waiting for a determination because the WNBA seems to be a little confused on this point and is refusing to just say biological sex determines whether or not you're a woman for purposes of playing in our sport. But they want to thread the needle somehow to exclude guys like this, but not exclude others potentially.
He's a pass first guy. That's a team guy, team player there.
Yeah. He just wants to, he put on X, I just want to ball with my girls.
There he is.
Why are you trying to keep a black woman down? So does that make him a black lesbian like most of that league if he's transgender woman?
Now, he was defeated by Michelle Tafoya, former, NFL commentator who won the Republican nomination for the U.S. Senate seat in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what kind of a chance she has in Minnesota of winning that Senate seat, but you never know.
With their vouching and everything else that they're doing up there.
Yeah.
We talked about that earlier this week.
Yeah, but we'll have to see. Meanwhile, Sophie Cunningham is just shaking it up everywhere, isn't she? I mean, she has just, I think, become the darling of probably every common sense, sane, All-American guy or gal of any age, right? I mean, it just and I continue to become increasingly disappointed that Caitlyn isn't in there, sort of joining her. You know, I mean,
I don't know.
Stand up for the right thing.
Caitlyn Jenner has, didn't she make more baskets than any male or female collegiate basketball player ever? She's the GOAT in that way. And she's
pretty much
taking all kinds of blows already. And, she's a young woman. It's difficult enough. We don't need to expect these athletes to speak out about every political topic. Quite frankly, too many of them speak out about political topics and should,
you don't think
stick
Sophie
to dribbling.
You don't think Sophie should be speaking out?
I mean, she's speaking out about something that's relevant to her sport, which is girls in boys' sports. But when they start, pontificating about other stuff, that's
but that wouldn't be relevant for Caitlin Clark to speak out about? I just
don't. She's taken enough grief, and I think she's taken enough hits and heat that, cut her some slack. Someone needs to cut her some slack.
Well, the guys on ESPN pointed out the other day that, it's a misnomer that the vast majority of the WNBA players are LGBTQ plus, when in reality they're not.
They aren't? I thought that they were very heavily lesbian.
It's down around 25-30% are.
Huh. Good to know. I was under the impression it was like
at least
75-25.
I've come out publicly in that regard. Huh. Now, you don't know about the rest of them, but,
Yep. Well,
is that north of their representation in the population? I don't know what those latest numbers are. I know in some college campuses, what was it, Brown? Was it the Brown campus where, was it 40% of people were identifying as LGBTQ plus?
Randy, you looked at me like I had the stats on hand. I don't keep up to date. It's not like in my daily, read before the show.
You're the
producer.
What's
the statistics on, LGBTQ?
Well, you're the producer, so you're supposed to be a compendium of all the knowledge that we talk about here.
You know what? I'm gonna give that to you. I'm gonna give that to you every morning. The stats on LGBT. Yeah, okay.
I Googled it. It says 12% of U.S. adults identify as LGBTQ plus.
Mm-hmm. So if
you believe Google.
And I think it's more for the younger generation too, isn't it? It's gone up a little bit.
Oh, I think
because
so.
Because they start over-including in these categories all kinds of things.
I think it's gone up a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, for women in their 20s, oh my gosh, 31.4% of U.S. women ages 18 to 29 identify as LGBTQ plus. Almost 1 in 3. But that doesn't mean they're identifying as lesbians.
Yeah.
But when it comes to men, only 11.4% of men age 18 to 29 identify as LGBTQ plus.
Now, yesterday, Jen, we talked about the poll that was saying that young women, what are they, 72% of them say they don't like young men. But,
no, it was 11%.
No, it was higher. But a lot of them, no, the number of women that had a positive attitude was 27% or 11% or something. But men young men, we're talking about Gen Z, had 72% said they had a positive feeling about women. And women were talking about safety and so forth. So as a gal, what do you think that represents? Is that representative of women at large or just that young group?
I don't know. I luckily didn't have to face dating in this culture of superficiality with these apps and having people ghost you and all the different things that young women have to deal with today, getting judged just by your photo. But guys, too, I mean, they're judged like so many women cut them out if you're not 6 foot tall or above. You're not eligible to be. So it's just a different dynamic, and I think there's some rude behavior. So I can see there being a little frustration from the ladies about the guys. A lot of them aren't even out looking for work at all. Mm-hmm. They're in basements playing video games and stuff. There just aren't as many of go-getter men out there.
You reference the apps that can give you superficiality and filters and artificial appearance and so forth.
And that's just for the guys that are actually on the app seeking a girlfriend and not just checking out.
But that gives me cognitive dissonance. You said the women that they're tired of that and they don't like it, but yet they participate in it, right? I mean, it's sort of like a if you don't like it, why participate?
Yeah, that's what I said. Where else do they go?
Yeah, you could go. I hate to bring it up again, but I saw a dating expert and she said go where the men were. And you know what example she brought up? You guys are going to hate me for bringing this up again. Go play pickleball. That's a great social sport. a great way to meet guys and see how they are in real life instead of just how they banter on the apps, which they could be using AI to come up with all their banter when they're trying to get you to go on a date. Then you got go talk to them and they can't carry a conversation.
No, college towns, the old meat market bar is still alive and well.
Meat market bars is
Meat
crazy,
market.
John. But
what? Hello?
No, I mean, I hate that, Jen. The people using AI to talk on like dating apps and all of that.
Yeah.
Where has the game gone? I remember when you had to be like slick to talk to women and all of this other kind of stuff. Like you had to come up with your own lines. Now everyone's using AI.
Yeah.
That is my
Yeah, I
only
wonder how
gripe
the
with
dates
AI.
go. They're like, oh, I got to go to the bathroom. Be right back.
Well-
What should I say? Help me come up with some jokes.
I found one of the most refreshing Reels posts that has gone viral from our very own Springfield market by an anchor named Carissa Codell. And this young lady, I'm so thankful that she did what she did. She made a reel out of celebrating the anniversary of the whole. She was trolled. She's a plus size girl,
Curvaceous.
and God love her, because in a time when we're all talking about objectifying and everyone's pumping up their lips and getting the GLP-1s and doing whatever, the extension, guys are looks maxing. She stands there in front of the camera and reads the various hate texts she got from listeners. It was just the most awesome that you could ever have.
No. Oh, no.
You want to talk about mother? I know about 5 thick news anchors. She's 3 of them. He's thicker than zoo glass.
Talk to baby.
Thicker than train smoke. Built for breeding. Tonight at 5. Chrysosaurus over here with guns big enough to stop the next meteor.
Carissasaurus. She's making fun of herself. How refreshing.
Good for her.
How refreshing. God love you, Carissa. I hope we can get her on the air. I'd love to talk with her. I think there was a time gone by when ethnicity made fun of themselves, when people that weren't attractive made fun of. They had a good time. Just, good for her. Good for Carissa Codell. And she's comfortable in her skin, having fun with it. We'll have fun with some leftovers when we come back.
It's Wake Up
Jennifer Bukowski, who's in for Stephanie. I'm Randy Tobler, and John Marsh alongside, and producer Drake, who's getting all excited about NFL seasons. The preseason's heating up.
No, this is the perfect day for sports. I mean, you got the Cardinals on at 11:40, and then, sports on all the rest of the day. It's great.
So what should we be getting excited about this weekend in preseason football? I mean, is there anything that's really catching your fancy? Not really? Your Buffalo Bills, who are they playing?
They're playing the Browns.
Not your favorite team?
No, it's the Drake Gary Nolan Bowl. That's what's happening Saturday.
The Drake and Gary Nolan Bowl. You guys have a little side bet going there?
I might have to put a bet on after the show today.
He's just a hopelessly fanatic fan for the Browns, right? Yeah. Keeps wondering. So, Jennifer, as vice chair of the Republican Party here in Missouri, I have an idea for funding of some Republican candidates. Maybe we could borrow from what LA's doing.
Oh, yeah. That would be something. Except we don't like wasting taxpayer money quite as much as they do over in L.A.
My tongue's in my cheek.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. You see this clip? If you play Karen Bass, I put it on the show sheet.
This is unbelievable.
You won't believe
listen to this. It's just
She's
amazing.
the mayor of L.A., running to be reelected mayor.
Is more critical. Your donation to our campaign is more critical right now than ever before. Let me explain. Thanks to LA's Supermatch program, every qualified donation from Los Angeles residents is matched 6-1 by the city. But after the primary, we had to start over from scratch. So we need you to rush your matching donation right now to help fuel this campaign. Chip in $5 right now, and the city turns it into $35. Chip in $25 right now, and the city turns it into $175.
Like magic.
Make your matching donation today. Thank you so much.
And did you catch that? They started all over again. So she got to do it already for the primary, and now they're doing it again. And the city will use taxpayer dollars if you are an LA resident to do 5 times your match.
Sounds like a pyramid scheme.
To the candidates. And you wonder why, it is totally in the self-interest of the incumbents to have this scheme in place. I guess they could argue, well, it's so outsiders don't try to play in our elections with their dollars. It's just so that people that live in the city have more power to match those dollars. But that is taxpayer money that they're using on that. And a lot of taxpayer money for people that didn't want her to be mayor is getting used for that. Spencer Pratt opted out and didn't do it.
This is legalized corruption. That's the only way you can say it, right? I mean, you're right. This is going to pretty much enshrine the incumbents who can vote themselves these kind of programs to fund their campaigns.
Yeah. Isn't there's something like when you turn in your taxes or something where you say, do you want to kick in a small amount for the presidential thing, so that you could have publicly financed campaigns for presidents? But a lot of them opt out.
Well, there are many people who would like to have just totally only public funding.
Get all the money out of politics. The thing about that is the money is still in there. It's just, it's in there by people that are sophisticated enough that have the lawyers and the resources to set up all the different organizations and PACs. And the little guy money isn't in politics anymore.
I would actually be interested in putting a spending cap on politics. That would be interesting.
That would be unconstitutional, in my opinion.
Well, I'd like to do a constitutional amendment that says, I don't care where you get your money from. Get it from the Russians, get it from the Chinese.
Undo the First Amendment for that purpose.
This is the spending limit. Well, but there is a process for amending the Constitution.
Yeah, but you're undoing the First Amendment. Like if Elon Musk wants to run for...
But that's what amendments are for, to change things up. I
think that's a bad idea.
Well, you can have that feeling, and I respect it. But I'm thinking the problem is money wins campaigns. And maybe we should have...
Not always. A lot of the self-funders
never
win.
Angie Nixon, she spent 1/10 of what
the Bush era, Anheuser-Busch era ran... Got nowhere. A lot of the self-funders fail.
It's an idea. I don't think I'd really endorse it, but all the hundreds of millions of dollars. Well, we'll let this cook and marinate. Who knows what'll come up on tomorrow's Wake Up Missouri? You'll have to listen. Hope you'll be there.